Okay, so when you think of Valentine's Day, what pops into your head? Probably roses, candy hearts, maybe a romantic dinner, right? Well, believe it or not, the real story behind February 14th is way darker, a whole lot stranger, and honestly, way more fascinating than you can imagine. So let's pull back the curtain on the true story behind the holiday of love.
So that brings us to the big question, and it's a wild one. How on earth did we get from ancient bloody rituals and martyred saints to the massive commercial celebration of love that we have today? The journey, let me tell you, is not what you expect.
I mean, just look at this comparison. It's night and day, right? On one hand, you've got all the sweet stuff, roses, chocolates, cards, and on the other, get this, goat hides, prison, and execution. To figure out how one became the other, we have to go way, way back in time. All right, let's get into it. This story is definitely not just about roses and chocolate. Our story actually starts way before any saints. It kicks off with this totally wild Roman festival. It was called Lupercalia. So this festival, Lupercalia, went down in mid-February, and let me tell you, it had zero to do with romance. It was this chaotic party for Faunus, the god of agriculture, and it was all about one thing: fertility. It involved animal sacrifices and even a matchmaking lottery where single guys and girls were paired up just for the festival. Okay, but here's where things get really, really weird. After sacrificing a goat and a dog, Roman priests would slice up the goat hide, dip the strips in blood, and then run around town gently slapping women with them. And, Roman women were apparently all for it. They believed it would make them more fertile. Yeah, little different from a box of chocolates, right? Okay, so how in the world do we get from that to a holiday named after a saint? Well, that's where the mystery of Saint Valentine himself comes in. And this is where the story gets a little tricky. Because believe it or not, there wasn't just one Saint Valentine. The Catholic Church actually recognizes at least 3 different saints who were martyred with that name. It makes it tough to know who the real guy is, but one particular legend has definitely become the most famous. The legend that really stuck is this one. It's about a Roman priest back in the 3rd century. See, the emperor at the time, Claudius II, he had this idea that single men made better soldiers, so he just outlawed marriage for young guys. Well, this priest, Valentine, thought that was totally unjust, so he defied the emperor and started performing marriages in secret. Of course, he got caught, arrested, and was ultimately executed on February 14th. And the legend goes even deeper. While he was in prison, Valentine supposedly fell in love with the jailer's daughter. Right before he was put to death, he sent her one last note, signing it with the words that have become so famous, "From your Valentine." But here's the crazy part. For hundreds of years, St. Valentine's feast day was just a religious day, a day of remembrance. It had nothing to do with love, at all. The whole romance thing? Yeah, that was basically invented much, much later, by poets. So, to really get how this all happened, you gotta understand this concept from the Middle Ages called courtly love. Think of it as this new, super noble idea of romance. Knights being chivalrous, doing grand things for ladies. It was a huge deal in literature. And the guy who really kicked this all off, the one who connected the dots for us, it was the famous English poet Geoffrey Chaucer. In 1375, he wrote a poem, and in that poem, for the very first time, he linked St. Valentine's Day with romantic love. So what Chaucer did was he wrote that mid-February was the time of year when birds started choosing their mates. And this one little poetic idea it took off. It spread like wildfire. European nobles started writing these love notes, valentines, to each other around this time. Even Shakespeare gave it a shout-out in Hamlet. The idea had legs. Okay, so we've got a pagan festival, a martyred saint, and a poet who completely changed the game. But how did that turn into the billion-dollar industry we have today? Even the holiday's main mascot, Cupid, got a total makeover. He started as Eros, the Greek god of love, who was this handsome, immortal dude. The Romans turned him into Cupid, and then, over the centuries, he morphed into the little chubby baby with a bow and arrow that we all know today. So all the traditions we know today started to fall into place piece by piece over centuries. The very first Valentine we know of was sent way back in 1415 by a duke from prison. Then, in the 1600s, a Swedish king helped make roses the go-to flower for love. And the real game changer? In the 1840s, an American woman named Esther Howland, the mother of the Valentine, started mass-producing cards and, well, the modern Valentine's industry was born.
And if you fast forward to today, the scale is just mind-boggling. Every year, an estimated 145 million Valentine's Day cards are sent. And that's not even counting all the little cards kids swap in school.
And the money, oh, the money is just unbelievable. I mean, look at this. Consumers spend billions of dollars every single year. Candy and flowers are just off the charts, making this one of the biggest commercial holidays on the entire planet. So when you think about it, this holiday has been on one heck of a journey. It went from a bizarre fertility ritual to a memorial for a martyred priest to a poet's romantic idea, and finally into this global machine of love and commerce. Which really leaves you with one big question to chew on. The next time you grab a box of chocolates or get a red rose, what are you really celebrating? Is it the wild history, the poetry, the romance, or is it just some really, really good marketing? Something to think about.